want to go straight across now to Dr. Anup Wadhwan. He's former Commerce Secretary. He's dealt with the United States on trade talks in the past. Dr. Wadhwan, your sense of these trade negotiations that have begun, it seems under pressure from Donald Trump and the US administration putting that April 2 deadline where he plans to bring in reciprocal tariffs. We've already cut tariffs on high-end motorcycles, on whiskeys. Do you see this now all happening in a phased manner? How do you see this play out?
Yeah, so I think they are trying to work out the framework within which the negotiations will happen. They're trying to work out the entire scope of the negotiations. So that is a starting point. And of course, there is some element of pressure in this, but in some ways it's a logical, restart to the negotiations we had during President Trump's first term. And I think India is as interested as the US is in resolving this sort of trade friction that is there between us.
But what about the key areas like pharmaceuticals, agriculture products, where India's interests could be affected by any kind of tariff wars or pushing us to for tariff reductions? Should we be concerned about what could happen?
Right. So those will be our asks. We'll have some asks also in a trade agreement. And, by definition, a trade agreement is supposed to be balanced and mutually beneficial. So while they have some ambitions, for exporting certain products to India, we'll have similar ambitions on our side. So certainly, it should be a balanced agreement on goods.
No, you're saying it should be a balanced trade agreement, Dr. Wadhawan, but the fact is there is a certain asymmetry of power here. America is coming from a position of strength. Donald Trump talking about deadlines and promising reciprocal tariffs across the board from the 2nd of April. India coming into these negotiations, therefore, under some amount of pressure. Does this make it more difficult for us to get what we want, our asks on pharmaceuticals, for services, for example?
I think that asymmetry is somewhat exaggerated, and it will be in many ways a psychological disposition that might be there, but I don't think in principle there's a major asymmetry. Let us say, for instance, that we are not able to reach a trade agreement, or we are not able to give the US side a certain confidence at this stage for them to put up the reciprocal duties. Even then, the heavens will not fall for us. The tariffs will have some impact, and then, of course, we'll have no option but to put our own reciprocal duties. So that will have a certain impact on their exporters also.
But do you see, therefore, a comprehensive bilateral trade agreement coming into place by the autumn of this year, as is being suggested by some? Because even you negotiated during Trump 1.0, it didn't work out then. Do you see a bilateral trade agreement happening in this specific case, or are we heading for extreme uncertainty in the next 6 months?
See, I see a limited goods deal happening by the autumn, and that should, I think, resolve many of the concerns the Americans have with regard to access to our market. I see that happening, but they must, put the reciprocal duties on one side. Just imagine a scenario. Let us say they put reciprocal duties on 2nd April. What option do we have? We certainly can't live with the option that, okay, let them be in place, and now we're going to negotiate a trade deal. At the end of the day, trade deal, they might come off. The only option we'll have at that stage is to respond with similar duties on our side. So the Americans should understand that these reciprocal duties are not compatible with a trade deal negotiation done in good faith.
So may I ask you in conclusion, the best case scenario, how do you see these trade talks, crucial trade talks between India and the US building over the next week and, dare I say, over the next few months? What's the best case?
I think the best case scenario for us is to make it very clear to the Americans that we are serious about a good faith negotiation that quickly gives an outcome on the goods, agreement. And given that the reciprocal duties have no place in that arrangement, because you can't have a situation where we are negotiating a trade deal and in the interim we are facing reciprocal duties. it not be acceptable, for
Right.
us. For various reasons, we can't accept that. So we must convince them that put this reciprocal business aside and let's quickly negotiate a trade deal that gives you all your ambition that you want on goods and gives us something in return, and take it from there.
So the hope, therefore, what you're saying is there could be a win-win deal. Focus on the bilateral trade agreements. Do not get tangled into a reciprocal tariff war. Well, we hope that Donald Trump is listening to you, or those in the Trump administration there, Dr. Wadhawan, former Commerce Secretary of India.